I bought a house in a neighborhood called Maple Hollow. Yeah, that kind of name, the kind that sounds like it came with a free pie and a promise you die of boredom. The sign out front said, preserving beauty, promoting harmony, but I swear it might as well have said, abandon all individuality, ye who enter here. I should have known I was walking into a trap. But I was 33, optimistic, and mostly just excited to finally own a backyard where I could fire up the Titan Blaze 9000, a grill so beautiful it could make a grown man weep. 6 burners, rotisserie, side smoker, the works. It was more than a grill. It was a symbol. My symbol. Of freedom. Of adulting done right. I didn't want much. Just a quiet place to work from home, grill in peace, maybe talk to an actual human being once in a while instead of just fonts on my monitor. But instead, I got Brenda. Brenda Thomas was the HOA president and unchallenged dictator of Maple Hollow. She wore white tennis outfits like she was in some kind of country club-themed cult, drove a golf cart she named the Chariot, and treated the HOA handbook like it was the Constitution. The first letter I got from her came 2 days after I moved in. A violation notice. For my welcome mat. Hope you brought beer, it said, a joke gift from my sister. Apparently, Brenda thought beer was a gateway to chaos. So, I flipped it over. Black rubber side up. Compliant. Boring. Peaceful, right. Wrong. That, apparently, was my first act of submission. And Brenda. She saw weakness. A few days later, I'm mowing the lawn for the first time, sun shining, headphones in, and I look up to see the Chariot roll up. Brenda steps out with a clipboard and a tape measure like she's about to solve a crime scene. She doesn't say hello. She bends down, measures a blade of grass, and clicks her tongue. Too short. 1/4 inch under regulation. And your hose? It's coiled counterclockwise. Visual flow disruption. I didn't know what the hell visual flow meant, but I knew right then I was living in a curated reality. Brenda's reality. Where conformity was peace and individuality was a crime. Still, I let it slide. I figured, pick your battles, right? Then came the storm. A freak tornado touched down just outside town. One of those quick-hitting Midwest monsters, and the weird part. No warning. Nothing on the radio, no sirens, even the emergency alert on TV stayed silent. Which would have been bizarre enough, except. I looked out my window, and there it was, Brenda's flower bed featuring a shiny new satellite dish, glowing green, humming like it was talking to God. Something about that dish didn't feel right. 3 days later, 2 black sedans roll in. Government plates. FEMA jackets. No knocking, no, ma'am, how are you? Just a handheld scanner, beeping louder and louder as they walked right up to Brenda's roses. This is private property. Brenda shouted, arms crossed. The lead agent held up a badge and said, come at sunrise, ma'am, this is a military-grade signal jammer. You interfered with the National Weather Service's broadcast. That's a federal crime. The fine. $100,000. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it. Any sane person would take the L, maybe sell some stocks, disappear quietly. But Brenda held an emergency HOA meeting and stood at the front of the room like she was running for Congress. She called the fine an attack on our sovereignty and proposed a solution: divide the fine among all 50 households. $2,000 per family. For a community defense. That's when Gary, the guy whose trampoline had been relocated to his pool by the tornado, stood up and yelled, Brenda, the only thing attacking this neighborhood is you. It was chaos. Full-blown uprising. I stood up, flipped to page 43 of the HOA bylaws, and read it out loud. All legal liability resulting from individual misconduct shall be the sole responsibility of the board member involved. Everyone stared at her. The vote to remove her. 49-1. But you don't just dethrone Brenda. You start a war. 2 days later, she unveiled her own emergency alert system, no joke, based on a squirrel named Timothy. According to Brenda, Timmy's tail behavior could predict weather patterns. She set up flags, color-coded by squirrel activity. And then came the horn. A full-on antique naval air horn. She bought it off eBay, mounted it to a tripod, and swore she'd only use it for real emergencies. Saturday morning, not a cloud in the sky, Brenda raises a skull and crossbones flag, marches to the park, and unleashes hell. The horn was so loud it cracked Gary's window and scared a driver into rear-ending 2 cars at the neighborhood entrance. It also, and I swear I'm not making this up, started a much fire. Brenda stood there in the smoke, holding the horn like she was about to lead us into battle. Fire trucks showed up. She didn't flinch. That was the final straw. At the next meeting, she tried to speak. Gary gently took the gavel. One by one, people spoke up about the chaos, the fines, the horn, the squirrel. Then I stood. Brenda, I said, this wasn't about safety. It was about control. You tried to regulate welcome mats and hose coils. You declared war on squirrels. You turned this place into a live-action satire. This isn't community. It's theater. And we're all tired of acting. The vote passed. Again. Brenda was officially out. For real this time. FEMA agreed to suspend the fine, but on one condition: we implement a real emergency plan that does not involve Timmy, flags, or anything audible before 9 a.m. We drafted a plan, appointed Gary HOA president, and put the rest behind us. Brenda's "for sale" sign went up the next week. Crooked. No one touched it. The contractor who helped board up my window brought my grill back, the Titan Blaze 9000, its leg welded back on, dented, charred, still beautiful. He gave it a pat and said, "She's seen some stuff, but she's earned her stripes." That night, I fired it up. Baggers sizzling, sun setting, neighbors drinking beer on my deck. For once, the silence was real, not forced, not curated. And then, bagpipes. 1 block down, a new neighbor. Full kilt, standing on his porch, practicing like he'd been possessed by a Scottish ghost. I just laughed. Popped open another beer. Looked around at my neighbors, the same folks who'd once feared a quarter-inch of grass but now were laughing, grilling, living. Maple Hollow still wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was ours again. So let me ask you something: if it had been you, would you have flipped the mat or flipped the script? Drop a comment. Tell me where you draw the line between community and control.